No, I don't mind it at all.
Well, this time was for each of us going around and sort of reflecting on what we have learned today and thought about this. And as Robin and Mary and I were sitting there, we realized that we have new experienced faculty in our midst from whom we didn't often hear about their exemplars or their experience. And it's like, it's opening the window. Every time you have new people joining our curriculum, we have some fresh air. And so we actually thought that we would like to start at least with having all of the new faculty, relatively new, Lisa, you're still newish, to just sort of give us some thoughts about the community of practice, what you've heard today, maybe a little bit about how you see it being practiced, and some reflection, and some examples of how you incorporate that already in your courses, because we didn't really hear so much from Kathy and Lou a little bit, but we'd like to have some objective and interesting feedback from you to start with.
But no putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
See, this was their idea.
It is, but I know you can, I know you have some thoughts.
You have experience.
You have experience, just talk to us a little bit about.
I feel like you're making eye contact with me.
I'm sorry?
I feel like you're making
You're
eye
not
contact.
first, because I know first.
Yeah, if you don't,
I think she's encouraging you to start, Lisa.
One thing that the community practice means to me for OT students, because I remember being a couple of times in that kind of curriculum where there's like an OT group thought, that it really helps when students problem solve and bring their knowledge together. And I had a mentor in Memphis who taught me about team teaching. And then I went to a couple workshops on it, AOTA workshops. And I've done that with one of the four, there isn't a lot of time to do it for everyone, but one of the 4 quizzes I do in the PEDS curriculum, where there are 10 multiple choice questions, but they're clinic-based. They're the kind of AOTA questions where there are 2 responses that it could go either way, and people sit on the fence, and it's open for discussion. So they have their reading to prepare. It could be on sensory integration. There's a lot of stuff that goes with it. They do their reading, and they take the quiz individually when they first come in. I don't know if anyone else is familiar with that. They take the quiz, and then I collect it. And then they work in teams of like 5, and they take the quiz collectively as a team, and they spend about a half hour coming up with team decisions. So if someone really understands the concept, they have to be persuasive. And sometimes you get some of the wallflowers that come out and really feel strongly that it's A and not B, even though the loud one in the group thinks it's B and not A. And then I just found here, I did it the past 2 semesters, they love the competition because they're points. In the end, it's like, I have these bright colors paper, so it's A, B, C, and D. They actually name their team, and then they hold up their letter, number 3 is, and they hold it up, and they see that 2 groups have picked C, 2 groups have picked A, 1 group has picked D, and then their points for persuasive debate on it. So that's been fun, because ultimately they're really getting the information in a team thought process.
Very good.
Any thoughts,
No, they're
observations?
kind of wandering right now. Could you be a little more specific?
I ask questions in a general sense very well, but just thoughts about community of practice, maybe your experiences with it and some from your previous university teaching, and sharing an exemplar.
Or how you're relating to the material.
Yeah.
So how the students relate to the
No,
material.
how are you relating to this material about community of practice and our philosophy and curriculum?
I'm relating, but it's very different because I believe in it, and I have seen it at the University of Utah, but more of the research groups I was in, which were interdisciplinary across different schools. It didn't exist within my department, they were more separate. So it's kind of like apples and oranges that I'm asked to do right now. But I do believe in it, and believe in it in terms of sharing information, collaborating, working together, that type of thing. I think with the students in the classroom, I learned more about how to set up some activities where they did that and shared knowledge, and then found a way to verify that with each other or with other groups. So they began to learn how to do that for themselves. Some of those pieces. That's it.
It's similar, for me as well. Something that I did was integrate, very similar to what Robin was talking about, with her experience. Mine probably, yours had a lot more heartfelt things that were outcomes, and I think mine were more, a little bit more, at research specific and student learning, but with the interprofessional team education that I was involved with, and our paper did come out since I've been here last.
Yeah.
We
Good.
developed, there were 13 disciplines across the campus that we well, I'm still doing it, I guess, interprofessional team education within the older adult practice area. So I was able to have the students in the older adult curriculum go through that, which was the large training with all the students from the medical school and the other disciplines, and then experience at the skilled nursing facility, establishing a care plan with a team of other students. And we actually collected data off of that, so I had that as my research as well. And then I used that same site in the classroom and did something so similar to what Kay was doing as well, which is having the students go out and practice different, or not practice on the students, but on the residents, but we were providing a service to the skilled nursing facility. So I was able to integrate all of that, which made life a lot easier, you know, when you think about all the things that you want to accomplish. And I was just sitting here having a panic attack before, because coming here now, it's like, how I'm gonna have to start over again trying to create that network, which Mary's given me some suggestions, and Kay as well. But if you can do, you know, what Robin did as well, it makes your life a little more manageable, I think. And I hope to do that again. I hope to kind of create what you're doing here in Norcross as well.
Well, it takes some time.
One experience at a time, right?
Yeah.
You know, you can't do what you did the past 7 years.
Yeah, and I think that what Louis just said too is that having so many people to tap
Right.
would be very nice. Than coming from of this, you know, when I call you, you know what I'm talking about. I don't have to explain what occupational therapy is first, so that'll be nice.
We are in that community.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I'm excited about that.
I can share one from Charles Ayers of EVP, that the research symposium they did this summer with this group, they did a 50-minute presentation, groups of 4, and normally it was the last discussion board just posted and tell me what you liked about the research symposium, what was good, what was bad, and I used it for feedback the very first time. This summer I was like, I went in to kind of throw anyone under the bus and what to say, so I gave them roles. They tied into the law book, but they all had to assume a role of giving feedback as if you were the patient or caregiver, if you were the funder, and if you were a manager or administrator. And so it was a way that they got to assume a role, and I learned so much from they were parents in the audience that had children with autism and SVD, and I was like, oh wow. So never the whole semester did not know it, and so how they responded to, I learned about such and such with my little boy who's 4, and I was like, oh wow, so they were connecting things as being the role that they had as the parent and caregiver, and just thinking about how we did the community practice, how I don't know about their communities in that way. I only see them in the role of student, and students who had parents who were older, and there was a presentation on falls, and it just allowed me to connect it differently, and the student gave feedback, to send me emails. That was a great way for us not to be nitpicky at one person, but we had to talk about it in general, what we liked and what worked. And so that is something I hope to I learned from and how to apply down the line and stuff.
It's a really, I didn't know that you did that, and it's a really nice way to, because the research symposium, the actual college-wide is one time a year, so what a great way to incorporate a similar experience
Huh?
in different semesters. Alina, do you have any thoughts or
Well, I can't give any
comments?
exemplar, but just
about community of practice?
yeah, just I was gonna say, so for me, this is a brand new community of practice, and I'm trying to take in everything that everybody's saying. It's really not lighting any light bulbs yet, but I'm sure as the semester goes, you know, hopefully I'm soaking all this stuff in, and for me right now, it's, I kind of feel like I'm struggling trying to learn the job at the same time, not taking my eye off the prize, which is making sure the students are gonna get what they need. And I realize a lot of it is teaching them, from what I'm hearing, it's teaching them to think and not so much spoon feeding them. So,
Right.
You only had that feeling for about 12 years.
yeah, that's what I heard. It's scary. Yeah.
I think the one exemplar that hasn't come up, which I really loved this summer, was the community partner. I had never experienced that activity before. I think that is really a highlight of this program that the students get the first month they come in.
Yeah. Amanda?
I'm feeling very much like Helene. I don't know what I'm doing or how I got here.
You applied.
I did. I was nervous about it, but I'm learning so much about what I don't know in order to learn how to learn, I guess. So I'm leaving with the questions maybe and not the answers. So I guess that's definitely getting to me. And I'm also learning that it's what, from the student's perspective, that they're confident in their everyday life, and then they come to a place where they know nothing. They don't even speak the language or know how to ask the questions, and I'm experiencing that. I felt confident in my clinical practice life. You know, even I was visiting my clinical life this weekend as I was working in the hospital, and you know, I pick it up and I put it down, and I can do it without thinking, and then I come here and it's my thoughts literally slow down and everything becomes slower. So I'm learning from their perspective how much slower it is to learn something that's completely outside of your practice. And that comes to the fact that I can't give them so much to do. 2 hours is not a long time. 2 hours feels like a long time for me. You should be able to get a lot of information, but I need to slow it down. So that's the message for me, is slow it down, because when you're learning something this novel and this new to you, it takes a long time to synthesize and do it.
Charles, you're still new.
Yes, I'm still new.
But not the newest.
I'm still learning, too. For me, it's just good. I feel like I was just like you all were 6 months ago. Same, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I got into? I left like this stuff that I could do eyes closed, clinical-wise, management-wise, to like, oh my God. So now I'm also like, oh my gosh, and I'm like, holy mackerel, there's like this whole huge world and universe, which is really cool, exists, and I feel more comfortable, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's just, it's doable. It's such a different world when you come into it, it's like, oh my gosh. But it's neat, it's very neat, and I can't thank you all enough for the great environment and culture that's here, because that just means a lot, everyone working together. I think that's just great.
I just Can can't I- believe how you got the inventory into the lab so quickly.
Yeah.
That was amazing, Charles.
And Lisa
I'm
and all
fine.
her work down there, they've
Yeah.
taken over and they're very hard to do.
Yeah.
Kay's been a great mentor.
Can I just ask a question to the people who are recent clinicians, like, did you like think that back here in the university, like, we sit around and think about our teaching?
Yes.
You did, okay.
I still do. I want the cookbook. I am the
Yeah.
new grad who wants the cookbook, and y'all will have it. And
For
you're not sharing it.
teaching,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, I think the
I am
thing-
there again.
Yeah, the thing that blew me away, and this is, like I say, 6 months ago, was the amount of time and effort and energy put into getting it right. And that gave me like,
We
oh my
try.
gosh.
Yeah.
I
He even
mean,
said
but
that.
I
He even
never-
said that.
I never like, I never made that connection. I just figured like.
You just
okay.
thought we taught a bunch
It
of
just happened.
classes
Yes, exactly
and,
right,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So like it's a whole new world has opened up for me. So, yeah, and so like, a whole greater appreciation for what we're
Sounds like a
doing.
plan.
Because it's like, oh, yeah, it's just, it's funny because for me, it's been a seismic shift from, hey there over in academia, what are y'all doing over there?
Yeah.
To like, now it's like, oh my gosh. And now it, like we were saying earlier, the marriage between academia and the clinic, it has to happen. Oh my gosh. It's like, it has made it that much more real, like, oh my goodness, there's so much stuff to do in a good way, but it has to happen. So I'm excited. So.
Samantha, I'm kind of curious about, and
Um,
Samantha's a teacher by background.
So this has been very interesting for me to listen to the way that you almost break down your teaching methods, I guess, because I am looking at it from a teacher's perspective. So, and hearing things that, I don't know if it's typical college, because you are teaching adults, which is something I have never done. The oldest adult I taught was a legal 18-year-old, which doesn't count. But, so I think it's interesting to see and hear the breakdown of the methods, which I know there's a lot more going into it, but again, coming at it with, teaching glasses on, or, educator glasses, it's very interesting, and I'm excited to see, your practices, in real life, in practice. So, I'm looking forward to that because it's a very different ballgame, so.
But there's a lot of support that it takes, and I know that Tiffany's not feeling well, so she got out, and I think Carol had to go, I think Carol did something to her teeth and had went out, but I don't think that she'll be fine.
Must be that table.
Some more tooth stuff. But I think that there is a lot of structural support that is required to do this stuff the way that we
Absolutely.
do stuff. So
Yes. Yes.
that's kind of the other reason why I really wanted everybody here, because
Yeah.
it's not just the faculty, it's
No.
really all hands in, I mean, it really
Absolutely.
is to pull it off, so.
Well, this might be incredibly redundant, but I'm just gonna put it out there anyway. If you need any strategies for, I am definitely a good resource for that. So if you need any strategies to reach a student that is struggling in some way, I can give you maybe just a different perspective if you've been trying the same thing and it's just not working, so.
Right.
Great.
Good.
And just wanted to say, from the fieldwork perspective, I know they're gone now, should have said it earlier, but for Tiffany and Carol, they really helped us out during our transition time this summer, and we're very thankful to have Brittany.
Very, very.
So
Yeah.
Very.
we're getting some stuff done that's just really cool.
Yeah.
And that support thing is vital.
Yeah.
And if you haven't had a chance to get down to the Norcross,
Oh, it's looking good.
you should
It
come
is
down
looking
there.
good.
Our offices are sassy. It's
Yeah. So no second child syndrome down
No.
there?
No,
Yeah,
no,
all the
no,
gigs.
no, we're
Yeah,
good.
all
The
the sassy
whole-
No,
We
it's
are
not
sassy.
sassy.
The whole Saturday that John and I were with our daughter Alex, she has this whole thing going with all four of her kids going, and you're the favorite child, and you're the favorite child. So just want y'all to know you're the favorite child.
We're certainly feeling it.
For
We're
today.
feeling it.
And October 10th will be some kind of event
Oh,
there,
yeah,
yeah.
thanks.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, October 10th is going to be, I'll have Carol send out an email. I just sort of found out serendipitously that they are having an official opening of the Norcross thing. It will be in the evening, like 5 to 6 or 6 to 7, somewhere in there, 5 to 6, I'm not sure.
October?
But they
Yeah,
are
October 10th.
coordinating with the fact that it's Photography Month in Atlanta. So part of what Melissa, our curator, has done, and if you haven't, there's some beautiful photography down there too.
So pretty,
Some-
yeah.
Huh?
So pretty. In Norcross you're talking
Yes,
about?
in Norcross.
It's amazing.
And so, and there's more going up and being hung and all, so they have put that on the kind of agenda for photography exhibitions around Atlanta as a way of sort of celebrating their opening. So if you can get down to Norcross on the 10th, that should be kind of a fun thing, and I'll share more as soon as I hear, or Mary, if you hear more before I do. Well, thanks to everybody for taking it seriously. Nobody walked out of this boot camp, and I'm pretty proud of that.
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing. We got some highly motivated folks here who appreciate stuff. We do have sort of free time for y'all to connect however you want. One thing I do want to let you know that I didn't get done in time is that we have quite a bit more graduate assistant money than we had before that was
Wow.
budgeted into the Norcross budget.
Ah.
And so Carol has developed or will develop or is in the process of developing a little form that if you need a graduate assistant to help you with something, please fill this out. It's basically like, I'd like someone, I need them to do this, I need them for this many hours. They are graduate assistants, so I would really like for them to be engaged in something that feels like it helps them learn something too. I mean, it's work, but it's also, I mean, we have how many do we have for labs now? We have one in each?
Yeah.
Yeah, and those guys obviously learn a ton about assessments and organization and clinic management and all that kind of stuff. But if there's other ways that you can use a graduate assistant, it's legitimate to ask for one to help you with your courses. I have one that I've continued on for writing assistance, although we do have the writing center and the graduate writing center, but in foundations, I try and give them a little boost up. So Jessica Stockton's coming back to help in foundations with that. But also research projects that you need some help with, or special projects. If Carol were here, she could tell me, but I want to say that we had about 6,000, and I think we have about 15,000 now.
Ooh.
We got a chunk.
Wow,
So,
congrats.
yeah, so it's good, and we pay them $10 an hour, so if you can just estimate the hours that you need, then, we'll do it, and probably have you interview people who are interested. I mean, we'll probably post your things as little jobs, if you will, rather than just, we need graduate assistants, because I
Oh,
think
yeah.
your needs may vary. I'm assuming we could probably use one for egg code, and then I don't know what else there is a need for, but I did want to let you know that.
Can I ask about the A code? Is there plans to prep our students, if you will, or how is that gonna happen?
Yes.
Okay, that's all, as long as there
The short answer
is.
is yes, but that.
Probably not till January,
end of-
February, because the site visit isn't until March.
Sure,
I
sure,
actually, Mary, I was thinking that in our December faculty retreat,
okay,
end of semester, we would be planning that out
okay,
for how we're going to prep the students and for the onsite, et cetera.
sure.
That would be it.
Wendy and I had a goal of having the self-study submitted in August, then we had a goal of September. I think our goal is now October, is that right? Yeah, we really want to get this sucker in. It has to be in by December
December
1st, but we don't want it to go that late.
Sure.
It has to be.
And we're both really nervous about like hiding, so Wendy and I, so what's gonna happen now that Samantha's, first one is Samantha's here this time, is we've got a window. She's not allowed to deliver early, okay? In fact, late is encouraged. We have a window, and we are just sort of tossing her in the deep end down at Norcross. Tiffany's gonna come up here. Carol's gonna go right into supporting ACODE as much as possible. Ironically, the first part of that's probably gonna be organize the Canvas site, because we need to rediscover stuff that we know we had on Blackboard and get that there. So Carol's gonna be putting a lot of energy into that. And then we've just worked out the deal that somebody has to be in the front office. So Brittany and Tiffany and Samantha will kind of work that out so that somebody's in the front office up here and somebody's down there. But just so you know, if you can kind of leave Carol alone as much as possible for the period of time before Samantha goes on maternity leave, we can get as much of ACODE uploaded as we can. And Wendy and I will be hiding every possible minute, but it's been kind of hard to hide the first week or two. And if we need something from you, we are down to drop dead time, okay? We need it now. If we ask you something, we really need it now. If you don't already, I think we already have all the credential stuff in, I'm pretty sure, but I'll have to-
Everybody's AOTA number, right, their
Yeah,
card.
they have to be AOCA, they have to be
So that's gonna come
licensed.
back around because no, we don't have every.
Yeah.
We have most of everything, but there's still some pieces.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like
So
I
we'll
know
be
mine
following-
expires
I'll
in
probably-
September, so you're gonna need the new one.
Right.
Yeah, so
I'll
Carol,
call people
this is the kind of stuff
specifically.
Carol will be dogging you on to kind of get that stuff in. It would be helpful if everybody hasn't already to update their Vita, and we can just upload your current Vita. That's a handy thing to do. All of those kinds of things are really helpful. The other thing I've had several questions about is workloads. Carol has got the workload spreadsheet, so basically what you need to do is download it. If you think you are entitled to an overload, why don't you put that on your thing on a sticky note, and I'll verify that you are needing an overload. If you know this is part of your regular load, you put a little R in the column that says R. And most people have learned how to do that. You need to sign it and date it and give it to Carol, and then we'll do it. And down there, Samantha, they'll probably give it to you to bring up to Carol. We have to verify that against what we had projected as workloads, and I gotta make it all perfect, and it's all gotta be into the Provost by next week, so the sooner you can do that, better. I've already got yours, I've already got Colleen's, I think, too. Did you send me yours? Yeah.
Good
So
girl.
it's fine
Yeah, I
to
did mine last
download,
night.
but I need a signature on it.
Does the format, remember there was the thing, the landscape versus, which way is it supposed to go? Does anybody remember, it's supposed to stay?
Landscape.
I did mine landscape.
Supposed to go
Landscape.
landscape.
Actually, I think it was
Landscape.
supposed to be, let me check with the provost office, I actually think that she wanted a portrait, so I'll double check.
Yeah, 'cause it was.
Separate workspace.
But whatever you do, the easiest way to do is to cut and paste it, stick it on Word, and then shape it that way.
Yep.
Just so you all know, because it's clunky in the format that it's in, so. Bring up a thing, you find it on Campus Web, it says workload, you bring it up, you cut and paste it onto Word, and then you fill in you'll have to fill in your committees and those kinds of things for those of you all for whom that's relevant, new faculty, they don't assign you to committees the first year, so don't worry about that. And then, I think that's
Sign it?
it.
Yeah,
Sign
print it,
date
sign it, scan it,
Print
send
them,
it.
sign them, date
You'll
them.
check
Hard
landscape.
copy?
Hard copy.
It's on.
Or
Campus
soft
Web.
copy, they'll take
And
it.
if you look on the left-hand side, there's a thing that says,
My
is
workload,
it my workload? Yes.
something like
Just
that.
click on that and it pops it. It's populated by your name being in on things, so that's why, and if you notice that stuff you know you're teaching doesn't come up on your workload, then talk to Carol, because I just picked up that Wendy would never flopped me into one of the clinical reasoning courses I picked up this weekend, so they were all showing under Wendy and only one for me, but I know I'm teaching too. So if whatever comes up doesn't look like what you think, in fact, you know that you're teaching, then that's, then you need to sort of deal with me or Carol on it. And I'll just deal with that centrally, because I've got the whole master hoo-ha. I think that's all the loose ends.
We have a visitor. Who?
Hi, visitor.
Hi, can we help you?
I just have an announcement that I'm gonna be out next week
Oh, that's right.
in Mexico at a
Tell them
rehab.
what you're doing.
Well, I'm presenting at a rehabilitation conference and taking like a couple days before, a couple days after vacation too as well, so.
Yeah.
Anyway,
You're the keynote speaker, aren't you?
no,
I
no,
thought you were.
just a speaker,
Ace.
yeah.
In our minds, actually.
In our
Yeah.
minds,
Uh-huh.
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's
right.
right. And what did you say you just got published? What came out?
Oh, in medical teacher alert, interprofessional.
Very cool.
Yeah, very good.
And you
Congratulations.
just got, roster, the.
Of accreditors, we need to put that on our trustee report,
Oh.
September
Did you get that?
25th.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Rob, if
Yeah.
there's anything that you think would be good bragging rights, you
I
just.
made her put that on her performance, put that out there.
Oh, what about,
That's a big number.
staying for GOTA?
She'll learn curriculum.
Is anybody organizing,
GOTA?
lodge- yeah, for lodging and
Lodging,
stuff?
where are we staying? Are we doing a?
Those are three,
Don't know, but you know,
the
you can
ones on
probably
the-
get Tiffany on that if you got her working on it. She's good at coordinating that.
Jen wants to stay too.
Oh, and Carol. It's gone.
Jen or Jan?
Jennifer.
Okay. Yeah, I hadn't done anything about it, I just registered, that was it.
AOTA education thing.
Yes.
oh, in Atlanta, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So when the AOTA thing is happening in Atlanta, the
Sweet.
Thursday is program directors meeting. Wendy, Mary, and I are all three going this time because we want to be hyper vigilant about this on-site kind of stuff. So we'll be off-site. Pinky Robbins covering my clinical reasoning, maybe foundations to the idea. Now they get you to degree to clinical reasoning, which is later on. Back up.
I seem to remember you covering me when I was in the hospital.
Yeah, well,
Last minute.
we all know that. And then the summit is Friday and
Friday and Saturday.
Saturday. If you
Jan
wish
Davis.
to be reimbursed for that, you have to put in for it. That comes out not of department money, but out of faculty development kind of thing. And they are meeting on the 12th, I know, because that's when I should find out whether or not I get my sabbatical or not. So if you, it would be good to go ahead and put in if you want to do that, but be aware that typically the most we've been able to get lately for travel has been in the neighborhood of $500. So if you shoot all 300 on that, then you probably won't have much left for AOTA if that's what you're targeting for AOTA. That's kind of your own choice, but I think it's a wonderful opportunity since it's so close to go network with other OT educators. I know they're gonna have a panel critiquing, I know Ron Severo is gonna be one of the one of the feedback session guys, and Ron's a UGA professor who was my major professor, colleague of John and I, had one of those overlapping communities of practice things. That's about all I know. Mary, do you know, or anybody else anything more?
Just that the Sunday, the Jan Davis thing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, October
Sunday.
6th, yeah,
Yeah.
is that?
And,
Same Sunday.
just I emailed Carol, but when we upped the limits for the Jan Davis this summer, she told me that, I said, don't up those limits until we make sure that the other APEs are full.
Yeah.
Before Irma left on her Alaska thing, there was only 2 people registered for the Vision APE. I'm concerned because that's Irma's faculty load.
Well, but the world won't end, we can deal with it in the spring, you know.
Yeah, and I did ask, I didn't know Carol was going to be here all day, but I did ask her to
Yeah.
check those numbers as well, so we can.
Well, we're past drop at, so, I mean, whatever it is what it is.
Well, I think that Irma doesn't, she has or colleagues coming, presenters, I think
Right.
she's thinking that she's
If
only
it's
2
gonna be
people. It's
canceled,
going to be canceled. It's going to be canceled.
She needs to let her know, yeah, okay, I'll deal with that.
Can I
Yeah.
ask real quick, is there gonna be like a flyer going around regarding the Jan Davis thing? Because I wanna get it to some of our fieldwork educators.
What's
Yeah.
the capacity for that? I mean, do we need to sign up for it? or-
Well,
She said she could take up to 300.
Holy
You know,
crap.
she's fine with that. Of course, I
And
don't
where
want
are we
300
doing it,
people.
Chrissy?
I want to do it in Norcross because she has a flight that leaves about 6:15,
Okay.
and she wants to run the class until 4. So I'm thinking
Oh.
logistically, we need to get her at Norcross, which is closer, and get her out. I mean, that's kind of how she lives
so
her
where are we
life.
gonna,
So.
so how big a capacity can we handle in the space?
You know, I'm thinking they're not comfortable with more than about 40 there. And last I checked, we had about 25 signed up for the APE. We might want to check my numbers on that. But I think capping it at 40 would probably be a wise thing, which leaves us 15
got
spots.
faculty.
Okay, so part of what we wanna do is we wanna have openings for good fieldwork people, this is one way we reward our trusted
Yeah.
fieldwork folks.
Yeah.
So, what I guess I would ask is that you work with these guys to figure out how many slots,
student count.
how many faculty were wanting to go to the Jan Davis thing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we already have 24?
I think we're at 25. I can take it.
Okay.
Bring a 10.
So figure 8 to 10 fieldwork folks that, you know, you're gonna have to kind of count the numbers, but.
I guess that's that.
And then that involves, kind of looking at what is the criteria by which we invite, like which folks
Yeah.
in, but we definitely wanna do that.
And it's 8 to 4. Starts at 8 o'clock on Sunday,
Wow.
the 6th.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll have our next, meeting, school-wide meeting in.
First Tuesday, I think, in October.
Yeah, in October. And, department meetings will be happening in between, and I thought I would not attend the first department meetings, just to give the departments a chance to sort of do their thing, and then I'll try and sort of pop my head in this time as it goes on. Although I'm happy to be available if you need me, if I want to meet.
The final day of accreditation meeting, is it open to the public, I guess? I have an accreditor, a person who's gonna be an accreditor, that asked me if she could sit in on our
Missy.
last day, Missy, if
Yeah.
she could sit in, so.
she wanted to see what the exit conference was like, I think.
I think we would have to have permission all the way around. I will check on that. That's typically, I thought was a closed meeting with the chief executive officer and the leadership of the faculty. It's not even usually the whole faculty, it's usually, but let me see what the drill is this time. When are you getting trained, Mara?
November 8th to the 10th.
Oh, see, Mara can tell us a lot more about it after she.
Missy's already done.
But
Missy's
I'll
already-
check
yeah.
on that and see.
She can't
You
do
know
it.
the real experience, Mary, or on the exit conference, do you know?
I thought it was whoever you want to invite, you know what I mean? It's like,
I'm not opposed to that, but I just
Right.
need, I need to run it up my hierarchy.
the
I mean, I know I
hierarchy
went
here
to
and then the
one.
hierarchy at ACO,
Right.
yeah.
I mean, I think I went to mine.
Last few times
Yeah,
I've been
you
in, it's
did,
been a
yeah.
smallish. It's been
Remember?
great.
'Cause,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you all very much.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, of course, the
programs, that's a power.
I know.
And, yeah, it's a big, can be,
If it's real patriarchal, it's a bad scene.
oh, yeah.
No,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
teaching here.
Oh, yeah.
Just ask the team leader if it's possible to learn student.
Yes. If you could ask them that, I will see about the logistics for Belinda Tracy's already got a placement.
It's not cheap. You might have to help her find sponsorship for it. There's plenty, it's $800 plus your plane fare.
Well,
Hey, Samantha.
what I would do is see if it's possible to post it. Okay. Then we can present it to Belinda. It's an opportunity to until you work with you on your
Chrissy? Yes, ma'am?
Your sheriff here.
Oh.
1 week in Haiti.
We can trash it.
Okay. Okay, so see.
Hey guys, I've got my notes out. I talked about the smart pen at lunch.
Okay, it's all right.
I'll ask. What's that?
If we set up an attachment, they'll work. You go in.
Oh, okay.
You have one?
It wouldn't be that critical for this one, but
This one's okay.
I understand the mantra.
Yeah, this is a different deal,
So we went to, a conference recently and I had to write down everything that they said. So, here's my notes, from that. So this takes a picture of what you're writing as you're writing, plus it records the voice of the person speaking. So, after I did all this, I just told it to upload, and I uploaded into my computer and into my phone, so I actually have pictures of all my notes in here. Additionally, let's say that I have like a, like I have something here, I don't know what that means, what I try to say, I can't just put the link into here because I don't know if they're loud, but just do here. Just where it was, it's exactly where it is.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and it's just loading, I mean, I've got 7 minutes worth of this particular, it's actually looking back to electricity at that point, and then I can just stop it, and then go to another section.
So yeah, Laura Reddy told me about that.
Right there, and read exactly how much so you have a specialist that will go with pen, so it actually has, or you, I have there and read where you are on the table. Just ordered it, livescribe.com. Livescribe.com. Livescribe, that's like, No, that accent, Livescribe.
So we got an email a couple weeks ago saying, and it's like, I did.
Every time Robin passes by me in my classroom, he's laughing. And they're going, now, on the leg. Yeah.
Pretty chatty.
And where's he from?
They're big too. They should
Oh,
be,
Atlanta.
but a big blue and big big
Oh, they do?
But you know, I had that.
So when is the next one?
I had people come in and are you from South Carolina? Is that old Southern accent?
Where you from?
Here.
So how do you upload it to your computer?
Well, I have a thing called, a little app called, Evernote. Have you ever heard of Evernote? Evernote is a pretty neat little, Evernote. You can keep everything in one place and you can categorize it. So I just have it on my phone here, Evernote. And, it just writes it all together and then my computer takes my phone and see here's all my page number. Yeah. It has it all there.
Because I could feel the things. It was kind of interesting.
Is that with you and Charles and Marcy about workflows? It is a problem, but not a problem.
Because it would prevent me from having to come up too. I mean, I'm supposed to be there, so you say,
Now, do you have a particular number?
I agree.
Just the workloads, how much is a rats and then.
The one where you did have a
Yeah, how many times do you have your rats by semester?
I don't know if it's like my semester, but what is it?
Where should I go? In your office? So we just need to send it out to the.
I'll print them on in the envelope.
Invite all the- Yeah, and we can invite the people here, the faculty, I mean, anybody can come. And then we need to, that.
But I don't know what's logical.
I'm glad.
Well, the other thing I need to put together is
But I think.
I've got,
Yeah, and having that, so you're gonna be looking at.
provost.
I said, I'll go back, you know, I mean, this is gonna be.
I checked, excuse me, and we ratified it again.
I know, yeah.
And she said, okay.
You guys okay for your?
Well, because I assumed that they had it. So they had it beat.
One of the challenges of
Even though I had a half hour.
It's global, it's local.
And that's what I thought you were.
In fact, here's what I was thinking.
So I even honestly,
I want to put down 30.
and then the rest of them on speech.
Yeah, because that's what they're doing.
How would you use this in there?
Right,
I'm worried that mine are so that way, and it's the first one. It's like, well, I don't know, I checked what total out here.
So that was one little thing.
Well, I didn't, I always leave myself the rest.
So this is may have taken my glory to see. It's not like
Snow days, I can't have it. You know, the other thing was I used to do, I was getting on their website, I don't know.
The thing that I was
She moved that day, so I kind of moved stuff around.
It's in 636.
It is.
No, she said, you know what it was, I said, teaching one time over the classes, because I thought that they would be like together. But what I really wanted to do, because you didn't have kids, and we might, depending on how she got the kids.
Okay, here's
Maybe
the-
it's a choice of Wednesday.
So how about communication across age?
So I was gonna say,
This
this
is
is
where
where
we
somebody else.
Yes. Yes.
No. But they're stupid, but they don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we're assigning here.
But then I was thinking,
No, they're getting it.
and then times
So
of
I think,
lab.
so as soon as we close, in fact, they're doing it Saturday, the day
My
after.
story, and then we could do the more. It's not the two of us. If you needed it,
I know.
The other thing is,
split it up.
this one in communication.
Because that's like stuff I do, I just want to make sure.
Yeah,
I
because.
said, technically, it's Lynn, right?
Everything, I don't know if it's necessary to go into
List down, and when we did this,
levels of service.
what was with you,
And I forwarded it in.
you don't know, and you're.
So it's back, so it's not enough. Yeah, it does have to be, I just wanted to make sure that, I thought that's where we were, but it's
We need
not.
to look for the whole year, and I don't know.
Yeah, and that's what Carol, that's what Carol's doing, okay, yeah, all right.
And then it happened to work out.
We just know what courses they get.
But,
Yeah.
They were just doing.
yeah, I just didn't.
But it's the professional.
I don't.
Yeah.
Working with, I guess,
Right, so that's it all goes in there, right?
It doesn't matter, whatever you go, we can
So-
we all go figure it out, yeah, no, like,
Yeah, I'm gonna be doing-
yeah, go on, you, but then you can understand.
Yeah, and I'll
Where they're going for field work.
Yeah, what is it like, and then,
Well, actually, of course, she says there, but but it was fun.
you know, I, like, and then it was just really,
So, you know, I'm wondering if you put that in the so the so little things is just so hard because like.
I'm gonna email you right now.
To make it easier or harder now.
Coloring.
Great.
handwriting,
So super
Well, it's actually-
it's just like.
See, what I think,
I was sitting here
what I think is important
If
for
there's
somebody
somebody
to
that's
have
in
this.
boxes, it's not
It's like
like what so is.
comes and gets one and says their box up, and then they wrote that.
That's why I thought it was dovetail. You don't have to wrap around play. Because play is an integral part of everything you do. But it isn't anything else.
It's, you know what I mean?
So how do you?
But I don't know, if we're gonna prepare them to be on field like one, so and I'm just gonna see what the other kids are doing. That was the process of dropping in, so I will send it away and then you
Right.
already like and they all have the others this morning, so. And then you're
That's why I thought. Showing them
Going back to
Well, it's almost like and just give them personal.
I love it.
Yeah.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
What elevates you
Yeah,
would
the
depress
Don's
you.
model, if you're looking at, yeah, that kind of thing. So you're not into
I know.
When we said Don's, I'm like, oh, that's a lot.
No, we both do.
But the piece that this is helping you with, it's like they haven't had this, they haven't had this.
No, we did.
So here's something you might
Yeah, and we're gonna need to go down up the message about washer dryer, no particulars and things like. But I'm gonna tell you how I screwed up. Here's how I read the Gonier wrong. You see how I did that? Don't do what I did. Yes, that's what I did, was that when I told them, that's all we did. You know, we don't deal with accuracy. So I drew that was it. We didn't even, and then I thought,
Yeah, it's okay.
Some of what we had, it would be much easier. The one we did,
I can, yeah, it's Marcel.
This is the big picture, this is like
You
a
find it?
Yeah, it's gonna have to be
Yeah,
like.
it's going to be great.
And I think
Oh.
down there.
Oh,
And every year is gonna be like,
They did it all planned, it's actually, they can do
Right.
that, they can do ours.
I just want you to know that this is just, they go to the first.
Yeah,
So
so we're on
this is
our
just
team.
I
need an 8-code password for you to tell Barb.
An 8-code password to tell Barb for me? I just come up with one for me. Tennis 1, 2, 3.
What is it?
Tennis 1, 2, 3.
And then my feedback has
I received the email.
Yeah, in general.
I looked at all my stuff, and I can't use it. I could use it. I'm gonna just follow me around, and then all of a sudden.
I need some pyramid. Okay, we have the camera problem.
Or even, okay.
Yeah, you can have all those days.
Okay, so
Okay, so this, this Thursday I have.
Meeting, I have the spread.
All right.
No.
You guys
For it till Saturday or. So you
just 20 hours in your time.
With or without a text?
I don't know the date, like, what do you think of October?
So, my dear, you have.
Okay, so maybe first thing is.
I have my phone.
Other choose. It's all I think that's the easier way to do it.
Yeah, and that's what
And you should be fine.
You might, this is not.
Yeah, I'm very
Smarter than I thought we would.
later on, towards the end of
That's what I put on my. Well, that'll make Marcy feel better.
and do something new.
Yeah, they know, or maybe.
No, they don't, but it's just skills they need to understand.
Oh, yeah.
But they do.
No, I don't think, well, in the past, I went to this master teaching course, and one of the things is no makeup quizzes, because you can't create.
It's okay.
So what I
I
do
So I don't have to go to
is
premature.
they get the grade for the next quiz.
Don't ask me
For that quiz.
We're good.
Or
I
they
just
can
want to
grade
know,
it
because
online.
you're in a NICU.
So they can take the next
I
quiz
got it,
and
I got
decide
it.
if they want to use it, and if they don't want to use it, they can use their final.
Well,
Can I still?
I just think conceptually to say
The
that,
final exam.
we're not going
So it just wastes that.
to the pre-main thing, but to know that there'll be a corrected age. That's where
I wasn't sure if they would do it, so I didn't put it in.
and I think that kind of good.
So because they're young and so creative, it's harder when yeah.
Tell me if I'm.
Not a big, big,
to be upfront, having.
That's what it is.
Well, and there you go, either take it earlier.
You're right.
Now they may not get information.
Sometimes the most important thing is detective in
Okay, so
terms of
I'm not
not
sure.
sure.
So I'll get out some.
So you have.
Not only way that I, because
So this is
actually,
what we have.
and I don't do a lot of makeup either. I
The
do
counselor,
that
that's,
approach,
you
but
know, not.
the one way that I deal with that test is getting out,
Yeah.
things like foundation, because it's hard to grade.
Or
I
would it-
actually
So what I
study
did
on
is
questions,
that's what I was saying.
case studies, you know, so I always have the same standard essay questions, but I pass out the case study in parts of them, and they have to turn it over with
And
their
after those,
part job, you know, ground
ages and
so that's how.
So,
That's actually fine.
So we're gonna add you far, far.
This is.
So these questions like from I to your count.
sometimes maybe there's some that will just be 20 minutes.
Well, the other thing is-
I'm emailing Allison, and I'm doing a couple things. Number one, I'm answering her question, but I'm also gonna address her